Hey everybody, my name is Caleb Schaefer, and I just saw The Judge. Okay, you got Robert Downey Jr., you got Robert Duvall, you got the Robs, you got Vera Farmiga, and you got Vincent D'Onofrio, you got the V's. You got this great cast here, and this movie is just so cliched and underwhelming. And that's not to say it doesn't have any good parts, but okay, let's just get right to it. This will probably be remembered as one of Robert Duvall's last films because he's not looking too good. You got Jack Nicholson, him and Gene Hackman and Robert Duvall. They're all kind of coming up in age. It's going to be sad to lose them, but I don't know. Robbie D is not looking too great. And it'll also be remembered as the weird pet project that Robert Downey Jr. made in between his, you got the Sherlock Holmes thing, the Iron Man thing, the Avenging thing. You got all this going on, and he makes this movie. And it wasn't unentertaining. There were some parts. I think there's a really well-written, good movie somewhere in there, but it was all lost on the editing floor. A lot of the jokes, the punchlines are weird. The scenes cut too quickly. It's like, okay, you're going to end it there? Oh, whatever. Okay. Premise. Robert Downey Jr. Comes back to his hometown. He's a big Chicago lawyer, fancy car, beautiful wife, and he goes back home because his mother dies. Okay, you get that tragic element, exposition. Everybody's coming together, and he has to interact with his estranged father and his brothers and his old high school sweetheart, and it's all about his relationships with all these people and also his own daughter. So, I think it's a good strong core to the movie, but it branches off and does some weird things. But also, it's a legal drama because in Robert Duvall, he runs some guy over, and the whole thing, he doesn't remember if he did it. So we're actually, the audience, we're also piecing together, did he do it or not? What do we think? Because Robert Duvall is not a very sympathetic character in this movie. Also, after watching the trailer, you don't think to yourself, okay, how much vomit and diarrhea am I going to see in this movie? And you watch the trailer, and you're probably thinking 0%, maybe like a little bit. But you see so much, like it's almost like a Farrelly Brothers comedy of just like, oh, okay, there's vomit now, there's diarrhea now, but it's a hard drama. It's so upsetting. Like, what is happening right now? Robert Downey Jr. is super charismatic. I love the guy, but him in this movie, it was very he does do a great performance, but it's very, you have his Tony Stark-like qualities where his comebacks are super sharp and fast, and he's very witty and on his feet, and it's just I don't know. Everybody loves seeing him do that, and he plays it really well. It's just I've seen it so many times. I don't want to see it again. Robert Duvall, very steely-eyed, he has beautiful blue eyes. Even though all of his children have like brown eyes, I don't know. Recessive acting genes. I don't know. It was okay. Vincent D'Onofrio, he plays RDJ's older brother, and Jeremy Strong plays his younger brother, who has something wrong with him mentally. He carries a camera all the time. When you incorporate mental handicap like into a movie, there's only so many times you can use it as kind of comic relief, and they employ Jeremy Strong as this character a bunch of times as like, oh haha, socially autistic guy doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know social cues. Let's end this scene with him saying something inappropriate or something. It's like the writing could be so much better. There's a great movie that the editors just tore to pieces. Acting overall is really good. I love Vera Farmiga. She does a good job. I don't know. It's weird seeing her because she says some really like crass stuff. She's like the single mom in her 40s who like, hey, you want to come over for some pie later? I'm obviously talking about my genitals. Like, it's just so, subtlety is not something in this movie. I think it appealed too broadly. You know, you want to go in expecting a good movie, and there's some really good subtle things. Like, there's Robert Duvall standing over his deceased wife's grave, and he says, "I'm going to visit you every day." Or, never mind, he says, "I'll be here tomorrow." And in my mind, I'm thinking, and he'll be here every day after that. That's really sweet. But then he says, after a long beat, "and every day after that." And it's like okay, I get it. Subtleties, just don't say it outright. Let me get that. You don't have to. I don't know. It's very strange. The soundtrack, you got an okay score underneath, but then they employ the Bon Iver song Holocene, and that's some directors have been using that to kind of elicit a very specific response in the audience, like kind of nostalgia. Oh, I'm kind of longing for this, and it's just so lazily used. It's used over a cutback to like old footage that looks like badly filtered Instagram videos of obviously modern child actors who look enough like a young Robert Downey Jr. and Vincent D'Onofrio that it's passable. I don't know. It's very, very strange. Zach Braff used it in Wish I Was Here, and I was like, oh, roll my eyes at that. But then they use it in this movie, and I'm like, come on, guys, let's step it up with this. It's a great song, and I would. It's a great time for more people to discover it and appreciate Bon Iver, but whatever. The movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. It's a long movie. There's a lot of false endings. Like, okay, we're gonna end it here. We're gonna end it after the trial. Okay, never mind. Cut 7 months later. Okay, all right, this is good. I like this. Cut 4 days later, and like, there's some things that are resolved. Like the main plot line, okay, that's resolved in a box. Here you go. But there's some other things that are just so wide open and like, okay, I need a little bit of closure on this. Like, the things that you want to be subtle aren't subtle, and the things that you kind of want an answer to aren't there at all. Billy Bob Thornton is in this, and he's obviously the villain. And there's a hilarious exposition scene with him where he walks in, and of course he's the villain. He has a goatee and a 3-piece suit. He's the villain, but he takes a retractable cup out of his briefcase and like whoosh, it makes like a sword unsheathing noise, and it's so hilarious and distracting. Like, they added that in post just to like, okay, he's the villain. You get it, you dummies. He's the villain. He has a goatee. And it's like, I understand. Like, you don't have to be so heavy-handed about all this. Okay, it concludes. Credits roll. Willie Nelson, the Willie Nelson cover of Coldplay's "The Scientist" plays. And I think that's a good, metaphor of how the movie is. It has these great ingredients. You mix these things up. It's like a fruitcake. Like, fruit is good, cake is great. Fruitcake, I don't know. It's not. It's hit or miss. You got great acting, okay directing, terrible editing, and it just makes this weird movie. I'm gonna give it like a 5.00001 out of 10 because I got positive review, but like it's so cliched and it falls in a lot of its own traps. I'd go see it if you like Robert Downey Jr. You'll like this movie. If you like character development, not so much. If you like Lifetime movies, go see it. The cinematography is like surprisingly really good. Steven Spielberg, cinematographer, did everything, and everything's really well shot. It's good to look at. Natural lighting is used as opposed to everything being just like, okay, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Yeah, it was an okay night at the movies. I'm not upset that I saw it. It wasn't an upsetting movie, but yeah, no regrets. All right. Yeah, that was The Judge. So everybody have a good night. Good things ahead.